everybody. Once again, I'm Liam Crafton Jr., aka Zorwald Less Than Guru. We have Mars Video Cat here, and I came really close to actually doing the Torg Tuesday because Orrorsh did drop yesterday, but I haven't had a time to do a deep dive into it, as well as tomorrow on Wednesday, another PDF is supposed to drop. I hope it is Torg or Treat. Some people have speculated that it might be the backer archetypes. Either way, it'll be goodness for Torg Eternity players. Tomorrow we will be continuing our Relics of Power Torg game, where I'm a player, and it's through Torganized Play, and it's on the Roll Hit Die channel, Twitch, and then it will be posted here on YouTube after that. So that's kind of the Torg news. Last week we didn't play Relics of Power, so I can't really say anything about the game because I've already talked about that before. So kind of as part of the normal bi-weekly updates that I do, I decided to kind of do that on Tuesday instead of Torg Tuesday because of my previous stated reasons. But the other games have been going really well. Palladium a couple of Sundays ago went well. They finished their mission. They still have a couple of things that they have to do, and then they got to make it back to town. And I am in the process of kind of doing a little more home rules, house rules and stuff, and getting characters into that type of thing. So I've sent out some PDFs to all my players to look over, and it's basically, like I said, a tightening and consolidations of rules, some clarifications of rules, sometimes where they're, especially with the different ways the combat works, depending on if you're casting magic or using a ranged weapon or a thrown weapon or melee weapons. I've kind of put those more solid rules instead of weird ambiguous rules around. Some of the men of arms types classes, I've divided rogues from men at arms. They each have their benefits and pros and cons, I guess you could say. And just at every level, everybody gets something. It might just be a couple extra hit points for kind of the men at arms, but I wanted everybody to at least have something every time that they leveled. So there's a little level chart, so you go down and you read. And on that chart also is when you gain your additional electives and secondary skills and things like that. And for like priests and clergy and magic users, whenever they get special abilities, those are listed on that as well. Kind of consolidating all of the, you have to read this, and over here just kind of shores things up a little bit. So I'm happy to see that. You will, hopefully it won't be this Sunday's game, but the following Sunday will probably, or maybe the one after that, we'll probably start working on converting characters or shifting characters, however you want to call that. So that's with Torg. Our Earth Dawn, I think I talked about this before, but it's going well. We finished in town, and I did a whole episode of how I love Earth Dawn downtime, and I think it's awesome. I love item research and history, or item history and research and all of that, and we've kind of finished up in town and have moved on to an adventure, so that is fun. And then in Pathfinder, I actually had a really nice session. I was very pleasantly surprised because I had seen kind of the sessions kind of going down, and there was some cool stuff happening in the Nightlands or the Dream World type thing, and that was really cool. One of our characters died, and I put that in quotes because we're not quite sure. We've been told that our characters will not die in real life if we die in a dream, so that kind of trope, I guess, is not in effect, but we haven't, that hasn't happened before. And basically we were at a point and we were talking with a person, and one of the players got a little rude and grabbed a book from the guy's hand. The guy asked, it was a boogeyman, I guess is what we learned, but so this bad evil creature. But when we've been in the dreams, we're kind of like, these are the dreams, and we've been I won't say working with, but we've been more open to communication and working out deals and stuff with all types of beings, from ghouls to um, boogeymen, I guess, and crazy nobles who are in love with giant spider creatures. Having said that, we were having a discussion with a boogeyman, and he had a book, and one of the characters went up and yanked the book out of his hand. The boogeyman asked him to give it back. He basically said no, and the boogeyman killed him. Like, boom, instant death. Well, it was instant as in, I guess there's a will save you have to do and a fortitude save. But if you miss the willpower save, then you make the fortitude save. If you miss that, then you die. And he died, and it was boom like that. And that's like my ears perked up, and I was like, oh yeah, this is where it gets good. I like the tense situations, the life and death situations. When we go through battles and things, like at first might seem a little tough, but at the end we've all lost a couple of hit points, where between battles it's easy to revive them. Even though this was in the dream world, we're not sure what effects it will have on a character's mentality in the real world. So that is an interesting concept, and facing and having it kind of forced on us by the PC being rude, which goes back to one of my points of I was trying to really hard not to make this character a murder hobo, and when people were trying to do that, I would kind of be like, hey, is this what we really want to do? These people, at that time it was actual people, not boogeymen, but these people are actual people. They're not inanimate objects, they're not creatures or monsters and stuff. And then in the dream world, as I said, we've been more discussing things, so this kind of took us for a left turn, and we got in a situation that was a life or death situation, and it brought a lot of tension, and I like that type of tension. No, it doesn't have to be every single adventure that you have that, but we really had not had that this entire book. There was a couple of good points in the first book. In the second book, there were a couple of situations where we were worried. There was one situation that it was just like, boom, character dies immediately. That was my character. That was a little different because it wasn't random. It had it was linked to the story. My character in her past had done something, had murdered somebody, and that murdered victim came to kill her. So there was a reason, but as players, we had no reason or understanding of why that happened. That was kind of a little different. Yes, it added a lot of tension and stuff, but it was kind of it was a one hit, just sort of like this. The difference I'm going to say, and it's not because it was my character in the one way and it wasn't the character, is because the first one, we were just minding our own business, sleeping, and this thing busts through the door and killed my character without us knowing a reason until later. With this one, the player made the choice to have his character do something rude, and there were consequences to that rudeness. And that's what I'm going to say is the difference of what I, as a personal player and game master, kind of like. I like that. You've done the action, now you face the consequences for what you've done, and that can be good consequences or negative consequences. But then the party, that person's dead, and for a moment we had to decide, are we going to avenge our companion? Are we going to say, hey, hold up, he was doing something we weren't agreeing with? My character was like, the dream world doesn't mean anything, is kind of how my mentality has been through that whole thing about my character. My character was like, do I want to fight and possibly die and not know what that means in the real world? Do I just want to run away? Or do I want to give myself the damage to, like, you can inflict damage upon your physical real form to wake up, to give you a better chance of waking up? Or do I even want to do that and say, hey, let's go back the next night when we're ready for this? We did end up fighting. One of the characters was like, hey, as he fought the boogeyman, if you wouldn't have just killed our companion, we would have tried to work something out. But now it's, the gloves are off, and we're, put them up. We're fighting, and my character had that thing happen to her. She failed the will because will is not my character's good stat. It's the worst stat. Reflexes is best, fortitude is medium, and I barely saved versus the fortitude. So I will say that there was that point of me going, I know I'm going to fail the willpower. Yep, and I thought I was dead, so I'm like, okay, I'm dead. Don't know what that means in the waking world, but I guess we'll see. And the fighter died. I'm the other melee person. How's the party gonna, continue this? But I succeeded in my fortitude by apparently a point or two, so I didn't die, but it added that tension, and every round until we took out the boogeyman, it was that tension. So I do want to say, I enjoyed a Pathfinder game, and the mechanics and stuff I thought were fine. I didn't have any problems with that adventure, that session, and I'll just stay with that I can enjoy games that I don't necessarily like the systems. So that's kind of what I've been up to, what I'm doing. Also is interesting, I'm trying to get, it's not me by any means, it's not me at all, but I'm trying to help a Foundry designer person on the Foundry virtual tabletop help us as a community create a working Palladium sheet, character system, whatever you want to call it, in the Foundry. I just really like the chassis of the Foundry better. The thing that's made me stick to Roll20 is the character sheets. They've had years of people building character sheets. Those character sheets are wonderful, and I personally do not have the know-how of coding a character sheet. So I found somebody who doesn't know Palladium but is interested in making kind of a generic system module, whatever you want to call it, and was like, hey, I would be interested in doing that. So me and a couple of Palladium people who want a Palladium type sheet, a generic at least, that can be used for any of the Palladium games, from Fantasy First Edition, what I'm doing, another one's doing BTS 2, Beyond the Supernatural Second Edition, another person doing Rifts, but we're trying to come together to do that, and as a way to show the designer of that what we are, what we kind of need for the game, we're going to run a BTS 2 game. So I'll be a player in that this week, and that'll be interesting. I game mastered only BTS. I've never played it before, and the last time I did a BTS 2 game was around probably 2008, 2009. And I was enjoying it. It's just one of those, life happens and other things come in the way, but it's been that long since I've touched the book, except for when I did the 31-day character creation challenge. So that will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to transferring the system to the Foundry from Roll20. So if you suddenly see us playing in a different BTT virtual tabletop on our Palladium games, that's what has happened. I finally got a sheet that I'm able to work with that I like enough, and have moved everything over to that. So having said that, I'll go ahead and I will let you go. Next week I will definitely be doing a Torg Tuesday based on Orrorsh, so you'll have that to look forward to. And having said that, once again, I'm Lee McCrafton Jr., aka Orrorsh-filled Less Than Guru, and until next time, I will catch you later.